This podcast is rated E for everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nifty Ninty. I, as always, am your host, Matt Tuna Turner, and this is the podcast where we run down everything Nintendo every single week. It's been another jam-packed week. You'd think there'd be a slight hangover after Gamescom, but nope, there isn't. We had not one, but two directs. But we'll get to that coverage a little bit later in the show. I can't believe this is actually episode 14. I didn't think I'd actually last this long. I usually get bored of things pretty quick, but hey, you know what? Here we are, episode 14, still going strong. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments below. Find me on iTunes, find me on Twitter, find me on YouTube. Anyways, why don't we get on with the show, because we do have a couple directs to pour over. Lots of details out of those things, so why don't we get things started with this week's new releases. Alright, kicking off this week's Nindies release is Fall of Light Darkest Edition. Freedom Planet, which looks like a Sonic Light platformer and does what Sega don't. Haunted Dungeons, Hayaki Castle. Move over, Mario, because Instant Tennis is here for the Nindies. After that, Mini Metro, which is a build-your-own subway system game. It actually looks kind of cool. I know a lot of people play their Switches on the subway, so why not build your subway while on your Switch on the subway? After that, Real Politics, followed up by a Metroidvania-esque platformer, The Messenger. This game looks really cool. It is both 8-bit and 16-bit, and is very heavily inspired by Ninja Gaiden. After that, The Video Kid, Victor Vran Overkill Edition. And finally, for the Nindies, Western 1849 Reloaded. Leading off this week's package titles, we have a sequel to that fabulous game, The Blob. So, The Blob 2. Also, we have a really cool fighting game this week called Blade Strangers, which stars a lot of indie darlings. I think people like Hollow Knight and Celeste and those types of characters all duking it out in street fighting action. But of course, I think the biggest release for a lot of people this week is Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which is essentially a remake of the 3DS game Monster Hunter Generations, as it was known in the West. I believe in the East it was called Monster Hunter's Double Cross. This game includes a new difficulty mode, as well as, I think, 14 new monsters. A lot of people want to compare this game to Monster Hunter World, but Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate are not the same game. As I mentioned, this is a remake of a 3DS game, whereas Monster Hunter World is brand new with a new engine. And I think, funny enough, this game actually has more monsters to collect. So, yeah, maybe Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is a bigger game than Monster Hunter World. Regardless, I know that there are a lot of people who love Monster World and might be willing to play this game for a second, third, or maybe even a fourth time. But it's out now, so go check it out. Alright, just before getting into the big news that'll make up the bulk of this show this week, I just want to give a quick mention to one headline that came out this week that didn't have anything to do with either of the directs, and that is that the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate game is getting a limited edition. And not only is it getting a limited edition, it is getting a limited edition Pro Controller with a steelbook. The steelbook looks pretty cool. It's like all black with the Smash logo that is on fire. That was shown off in the original reveal of Super Smash Bros. So long ago. Of course, you can also buy these two things separately. The controller is like a light gray and a black, and it's got, again, the Smash logo on the upper right hand side of the controller. A lot of people have been saying that this controller is somewhat ugly. They'd like to see Nintendo do something else with their Pro controllers. This one is similar to the Splatoon ones, and it has the handles are like a light gray, whereas the body of the controller is black, and then the emblem is the same gray as the handles. So, I mean, is it ugly? No. It's just kind of plain. There's nothing really special about it. I wonder how many people are actually going to pick this up. I mean, honestly, I'm more interested in the Steelbook. It's very like austere, and it just looks cool. I think next to all the red game cases, this big black Steelbook would look just so imposing, yeah, in my collection case. But you know, I don't think you can get one without the other. I know you can buy the controller separately, but I don't think you can buy the Steelbook without the controller. So, say la vie. Maybe I will buy a GameCube controller, or just maybe a different Pro controller. What do you guys think? Do you guys think you'd pick up the Steelbook with the controller, or maybe just the controller yourself? Let me know in the comments below. So, aside from the two directs that came out this week, I mean, that was really it for news on the Nintendo front. So, I guess if it weren't for the two showcases, I guess maybe there would be a slight hangover from Gamescom, but nope, still have two directs to go through. The first one I think I'm going to cover is the Nindy showcase that they released earlier in the week. They also released a direct for a brand new IP later in the week. So why don't we do this chronologically then? The first one was the Nindy showcase. The Nindy showcase opened up with their head for marketing and Nintendo development team, and he talked about how great it is to see the Nindy scene thriving on Switch and people really coming over to Switch as a viable platform for their games, which of course is great. Everybody loves being able to take their games on the go as well as play on the TV. The Switch is really feels like a real niche for a lot of us because a lot of us commute. So it makes it really easy to play a lot of games and really invest time in these things because you don't have to put it down, and it's easy to keep your focus on these games. I find in the past I would get really into a game, and then I'd have to put it down for whatever reason, either travel or work or doesn't matter, and you kind of forget. But now with the Switch, because I could just bring it with me, and it's like, oh, okay, I got 10 minutes, I can hammer out a challenge in whatever game. So you do. Anyways, I digress. And so he spoke, and then they just got into trailers for a whole bunch of indie games. The first one that they showcased was one called Hyperlight Drifter, the Special Edition, which has been out on Steam for a while, but it includes some Switch exclusive modes and weapons, and we don't have to wait too long for it. It comes out on September 9th, which, for those of you who are keeping track, is next week. After that, they showcased Towerfall, which is a multiplayer arena fighting game. It allows for up to 6 players, and it has a neat twist. This isn't like a Smash Bros. Fighting game where you're fighting with fists and swords. You're actually battling it out as archers, which is a neat twist. You guys are shooting each other with arrows, you and up to 5 people, and that's out September 27th. After that, a Tetris-style puzzle game called Treasure Stack, where you take different colored treasure chests and you use a grappling hook to grab them to the bottom of the play field, and then you need to organize them in color and then find a key to the corresponding chest colors to make them disappear, and that is available this winter. After that, they showed off a game called Zarvot, which is a Bomberman style battle game. So again, you have like an isometric arena, but you're not like Bombermen. You are actually cubes. It's a very minimalist art style. There's cubes and some bananas, and it looks like the boundaries of these arenas are made from things like cardboard and paper. And you shoot each other with lasers instead of bombs, and that is available in October. The next game they showed off is one that I think a lot of people have been following, and that is Minico's Night Market, which is like a cat growing simulator. So like you have a garden and you need to grow cats. There's also some crafting involved, and you take the crafts that you create and you take them to a night market where you sell them for money. There's also like some really neat mini games inside of this game. Things like cat sumo, and you can actually ride a cat in like a race, which kind of looks cool. I mean, Anyone who owns a cat knows that that would be near impossible to do. Cats are lazy and they do not like to be ridden. But this game looks like fun. It looks a bit like Harvest Moon, so if you're a Harvest Moon fan, I would definitely check out Minako's Night Market. After that, we got a neat platformer called Samurai Gun 2. It has a battle mode, which I think is the coolest part of this, where you can battle up to 4 players. It's called Samurai Gun. Actually, in this, obviously, is a sequel because it's called Samurai Gun 2. It's called Samurai Gun because you are armed with nothing but a sword and a gun. And this is available early 2019. After this, a co-op action game called Battle Age. It is a platforming game. You are armed again with a gun and a sword, but it's not the same as Samurai Gun, so don't get confused. This one has a cute art style, which kind of differentiates itself from everything else. It also kind of makes the violence in the game a little more palatable. I wouldn't say kid-friendly, but definitely more palatable. And like I said, it is a co-op action game with a whole bunch of platforming. It looks very cool. After that, The World Next Door, which again is a puzzle game and is available early 2019. Towards the middle of the Nintendo Direct, they showed off a really cool game. Actually, this trailer was probably one of my favorites of the Nindy Direct. It had a lot of character and charm. It is a game called Levelhead, which is essentially a Mario Maker clone. You make levels, you and your friends, and you battle it out on these levels, or you can platform, and you can share them with the world. It looks really cool and will definitely fill any void. People have been waiting for Mario Maker for a little while. Nintendo hasn't quite got that done yet. I'm sure it's in the pipe though. So for those of you waiting for Mario Maker, you don't have to wait too much longer for a little bit of fix. It's available November 2018 and it is called Levelhead. After that, there was a neat little fighting game called King of the Hat, where you play various characters, including a washing machine. There's also a cat and some other characters. The main gimmick for this game is you don't want to lose your hat. You have to protect your hat at all costs, because if your hat is destroyed or lost, that's it for you. Game over. You're out of the game. So 4-player battle it out to be, as the title suggests, King of the Hat. There is, of course, ranked online multiplayer, and it is available early next year. The last game that they showcased before going into a neat little montage is one that looks like a lot of fun. It's along the same lines as Goat Simulator. This one is called Untitled Goose Game. It is basically a jerk goose simulator. It is your job to ruin everyone's day as a goose in whatever fashion you can. So you'll have tasks like have a picnic, but in order to have a picnic, you need to ruin somebody else's. So it looks kind of neat. In the trailer, they show a goose chasing off a bunch of people. And for anyone out there who's Canadian, I think we all know how much of a jerk geese can actually be. So that was like the last trailer, the last game that actually had a spotlight on. After that, they got into a montage of things, which is pretty cool. They just kind of ran down title after title, so I'll do the same thing here. The first is Desert Child, available December 2018. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, which is available this September 13th. Bastion, also available September 13th. Also, The Messenger, which is out now, as I mentioned earlier in the show. Looks pretty cool. Undertale, available September 18th. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this game. Finally coming into Switch. You Don't Know Jack, the Jackbox Party Pack 5, available October 2018. Transistor, also on the same lines as Bastion, November 2018. Dragon, Marked for Death, December 13th. Light Fingers, September 20th. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP, which is available October 2018. And just a little note on the Sword and Sorcery port, they will not support Twitter on Switch because the creators believe that Twitter is become a toxic wasteland. There's too much vitriol and hate on Twitter, so the Switch version will not support any form of Twitter usage. And that's where they ended their Nindy spotlight. They had They had Mr. Corporate Man come back out, thank everybody, and then he went, oh, wait, one more game to show off. And that game was called Into the Breach. And this is how they ended the Nintendo Direct Spotlight. It was, or I guess it is, a Advance Wars-esque turn-based strategy game, which if any of you have been following along this podcast know that I'm a big fan of turn-based strategy, especially Advance Wars. It's got basically you're on one arena and it's like an isometric view, pixel art, very pixelated. It's very cool, very focused art direction. And the neat thing about this one is that there's actually environmental hazards. So like on the map there will be a dam, for instance, and you can blow up the dam and it'll flood a chunk on the map and it will take out whatever is in its way. So there are many different ways to win a map. There are like core objectives you can accomplish, and of course you can always win by wiping out the other force completely, but it's really up to you how you want to do it. And it again is presented very much like Advanced Wars. There's a grid. Each unit has different move abilities. There's some that actually hop, so you can like hop over a river. It looks really cool, and the best part is it's actually available now. So if you're looking for a really deep turn-based strategy game, I would definitely suggest this game. Now there are a lot of games in there, like a lot. And I know there are probably a bunch that a lot of you are looking forward to, and some you can probably honestly forget about. No offense to Treasure Stack, but we've played Tetris-style puzzle games a lot. And this one, it offers a neat twist to the, block stacking puzzle game, but I don't think it's enough. There are two games that, I want to just highlight that I know that personally I'm looking forward to. And you'd think maybe they would be the platformers because I think those are the games I play the most, but they aren't. The first one is the Hyperlight Drifter, Nintendo Switch Edition. This game just looks really cool. It's got kind of like a Blade Runner-esque feel. I know it's been out on Steam for a while, and I probably could have been playing this on my computer for a long time, but I didn't. I don't really play a lot of PC games, some StarCraft, but now that this is coming to the Switch, I think I'm definitely going to get it, and the best part is it's available in a week, so I don't have to wait too long. It'll be neat to check out. And the other game I just wanted to spotlight was the one that they finished with. So hey, go figure. The first one and the last one. Into the Breach, which is that Advanced Wars turn-based strategy game I was talking about. It looks really fun, and it's available now. Regardless, if I pick up any of these games, you can bet there will be a review for them. And finally, and probably the biggest chunk of news this past week, was the announcement by Nintendo of a brand new IP. Nintendo doesn't often do brand new IP. I think the last new IP we got from Nintendo was probably Pikmin or maybe Nintendogs. Both very successful. But this new IP is actually a action RPG, and it is being developed by Cygames. The game is called Dragalia Lost, and it is set in a faraway kingdom called Alberia, where the royal family has made a pact with dragon and has dragon blood running through its veins. You play as the 7th prince in line for the throne, so chances are you will never be king. So it is on your shoulders to keep the kingdom safe from monsters. There is a crystal that keeps the kingdom safe, but for whatever reason it's losing power, and you are set out on a journey to figure out why. While on your journey you meet a whole bunch of people to add to your party, because what is a action RPG without other people to journey with, right? Right. This game is very much inspired by Diablo, it looks like, and it sports a very cool anime art style, as well as like in-game it's kind of like a chibi anime art style, so you have like the really big heads, cute eyes, and small body type of thing. Very anime inspired. It looks like a lot of fun actually, this game. It is a free to enter game, whatever they're calling it these days, freemium, if you want to call it that still, freemium mobile game. There is a premium currency to buy and or earn, but I think we all know when it comes to these types of games how hard it is to earn that premium currency. But so far that seems to be the only really downside of this game, is the fact that it is freemium. I actually kind of wish that this was released as a, I guess you could say, like a full price game. I mean, games on mobile aren't that expensive, but if they were to release this game for like $9.99, $4.99, something like that on mobile, I think it would actually still do quite well. It looks very deep, very rich. The lore, the story looks very cool, and the fact that it's something new that we hadn't really seen before, it's very, very intriguing, I will say. It has a very, very deep battle system. Actually, I guess it's not that deep now that I think about it. The battle system is real time, so you run up to the enemies, you tap on them to attack them, and it is very much a rock, paper, scissors style battle system. So think Pokemon, where each character has an elemental power, and that elemental power is obviously weak against some things and strong against others. In the trailer, they showed fire, wind, water. Fire is strong against wind, wind is strong against water, and fire is weak to water. There were a couple others they showed, but those were the three standouts. As this is a mobile game, obviously the controls for this game are completely touchscreen. So you drag your finger in the direction you wish your character to run. So you'll be swiping your finger, or it's not really swiping, you're actually going to be literally dragging your finger across the screen. It's kind of like a virtual analog stick, if you will. And then you just tap the screen when you're near an enemy to attack, and it'll just automatically attack. So that works for mobile. I wonder if there will be Bluetooth controller support for this game at all, or I know that there are controller type accessories for a lot of phones these days, so I wonder if this will actually support that as well. In terms of battling monsters, as I mentioned, you tap the screen to attack, but that would be too simple. So what they've done is they've added some QTE type elements to the battle system. Not only do you have the elemental type of powers, bonuses, weaknesses, those sorts of things, but you also want to not only attack, but there is a dodge mechanic. So a red circle or a red box will show up, and if you don't think you can defeat the enemy by the time it actually attacks you, you need to swipe your character to dodge out of the way of the boss so that you don't get hit. Because let's be real, getting hit kind of interrupts the flow of your day, and nobody likes seeing that dreaded game over sign. Of course, attacking and dodging enemies fills up a gauge, which corresponds to each character's special attack. Once that gauge is full, you can unleash a special attack. In the trailer, the main character, the character you play as, the 7th Prince, unleashed a whirling fire attack. But of course, the other characters that you add in your party have their own unique special attacks as well, and they have their own gauges that will fill as they dodge and attack enemies. There are also kind of, I would say, Chrono Trigger-esque type of move combinations you can do against enemies as well. They showed off you flinging something at one of your teammates, and they used it to unleash a stronger type of attack. I think you shot, in the trailer, he shot an arrow at one of his companions, and they were able to use that as a stronger attack for the boss that they were fighting, which is actually really cool. Which brings me to my next point. This game has full 4-player co-op, which is great if you and your friends are separated by vast distances, or even together in the same room. It doesn't matter, because you get to explore the world of Alberia with your friends, which is awesome. So you can create your own parties and fight all these bosses and collect all the loot with just your friends. Of course, you can play with strangers, as with most games these days. Now, as I mentioned earlier, humans and dragons had entered into a pact. So, how do dragons factor into all of this? You might be asking yourself. Well, when you defeat an enemy, they drop crystals, and those crystals fill up a gauge. There are also obelisks around the world that you can destroy, and they also give you crystals. And when you collect enough crystals, you're actually able to shapeshift into a dragon, and you can bond with many, many, many dragons, and your party can bond with dragons. And once you are able to shapeshift into a dragon, You can use the dragons to defeat the game's bigger bosses, which is pretty cool. So not only do you have light RPG elements, not only do you have a Diablo-esque style dungeon crawler, but you also have a little bit of Monster Hunter slash Pokemon type collecting in this game, which is pretty sweet. They've kind of hit a bunch of really good high notes for this game. Really grab a lot of people into playing this game, which I think is very smart. In terms of building a party, you want to balance not only the elemental powers that each party member has, but each party member has a unique ability. So there's attack, defense, healing, and support. So you want to make sure your party is well rounded when you head out on quests. Of course, before each quest, you can swap out party members as much as you want. You meet, I think the trailer said, up to 60 people through your journey in this game, which is a lot. So lots of customization options, lots of ways to complete each different quest. You can make it as easy or as difficult as you would like. Now, as this is an RPG, you're probably wondering, how do I level up my character? How do I level up my party members? Well, if you thought that you would simply be grinding monsters day after day, you're only partially right. There is, of course, in any RPG, an element of grinding, so you can grind for XP. You can also equip weapons that come with their own unique set of buffs, and then you can actually level up those weapons so that those buffs become stronger. Each character also has something that's called a mana circle, which is like a ring with holes. Think of it like a charm bracelet almost. You can attach things to this ring that give you more HP, more attack points, stronger abilities for all sorts of various things, and you can swap them in and out. And of course, the last way to level up your party or characters is something called the Halidom. The Halidom is kind of like your base camp. So you have a little mini castle there that's all your own, and you can upgrade that. And when you upgrade that, your character gets upgraded. Not only can you upgrade your little castle, there's also shrines and other things that you can plant. So you can actually plant like food and erect shrines that give your party extra buffs. So not only is there RPG, dungeon crawling, monster collecting elements, there's actually some city building and uh, I don't want to call it like real-time strategy resource management, but there's also like some resource management involved because you can actually mine for gold. And I assume that you can use that gold to buy some of that premium currency that I mentioned earlier. And speaking of premium currency, what do you use it for? You use it for summoning. There are 3 different types of things you can summon. One are characters. The other is, of course, dragons. And the last thing is something called a worm print, which is kind of like a talisman or an amulet that you can equip to your players. And the last thing that was mentioned before they signed off for the Nintendo Direct was actually probably the coolest thing, and I understand why they left it till the end, but this game actually has raids. So you can team up with a whole bunch of people, take down a massive monster, and hopefully earn some really good loot from doing so. So this game kind of has it all. You've got RPG, dungeon crawling, raids, some resource management, town building, and we don't have to wait that long for it. The game comes out on September 27th, which isn't that long. It's like 3 weeks away. So it's pretty exciting. I think that Nintendo and Cygames have a smash hit on their hands here. This is going to be a really big game for them. My question is, how's this gonna hit my battery? Am I going to be tethered to a wall playing this game, or am I going to have to pack like 4 battery packs to play this game? Because it's online constantly, which most mobile games are, but it's a very deep game, very involved, and the graphics look I mean, they look like a 3DS era game. I mean, it's not. It's going to be pushing some serious hardware for some phones, I think. So, you know, for those of you who thought Pogo, was sucking your battery, I wonder what this one's going to do. It's probably gonna hit it pretty hard. Do you guys think you'll be picking up Dragalia Lost? I When I heard they were announcing this, I was like, another mobile game. I think I can miss this. Pogo's enough for now. But after watching the trailer, I actually kind of want to pick it up. It will definitely help fill the dungeon crawler void until Diablo 3 comes. So, you know, I might buy, well, not buy, I might download this and hopefully, fingers crossed, not get too hooked. I don't think my wallet can take this. But do you guys think you'll pick it up? And if you do, send me over your. I don't even know how you'll find friends in this. I guess maybe through your phone's contacts. I'm not going to ask for your phone number, but if there is some way, like a friend code, maybe we can all join up and take down a monster in one of those raids together. Well, that's it for another episode of Nifty Ninty. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry, I know, boo-hoo, no game review this week, but I think the show is packed enough without it, given that there were not one, but two directs this week. So I thought that was enough stuff for you guys to absorb this week. As you can see, the show is longer than it normally is, which is fine. So anyways, game reviews will be back again next week, unless of course Nintendo decides to do another 2 directs next week, which I doubt. Speaking of directs, we should be getting one soon. I'm really hoping that there will be a Nintendo Switch Online Direct coming sometime in the next 2 weeks, because that service is supposed to launch at the end of this month. It'd be nice to get some more details, figure out what those last 10 games are for the NES Classic upgrades, and see what other games are coming to their subscription service. But that is something we can look forward to in the coming weeks. For now, if you guys like what you see in here, please do subscribe. If you're on YouTube, also turn on notifications. If you're on iTunes, thank you very much for subscribing. You can also find me on Twitter at tunaent_official. That is the number 2 NAENT_official. I also have a Patreon. Patreon subscribers get timed exclusive to all podcasts I do, not just this one, but the other ones I do as well. And if I get enough subscribers on there, I would love to be able to create some merch for you guys that will take the form of, unique art, t-shirts, stickers, buttons, those sorts of things. So if you'd like to support me, and I would really appreciate it, you can hit me up on Patreon, patreon.com/tunaentertainment. But that is it for me, and until next week, I love you all, and stay nifty. Is this thing on?